Whenever I need a pump up, I watch our intro, and no more than I needed it today. And I am so pumped to do a new episode of Figures Not Included with you guys.
Oh,
Hi,
we'll
everyone.
pump you up. We'll pump
Pump,
people up. Just watch the
pumped up.
show, get
Oh yeah.
pumped. Like the
Oh
old Reeboks. Remember the Reeboks with the little pump in them?
yeah. Would you pump
Basketball
it?
Reeboks?
I
Love
never
those.
got those. Did
You never
you?
got well, you were too little. You weren't around.
No, I
I
haven't.
was little. I was little when those came out. So you weren't even you were just an inkling in your dad's eye.
It really was. That's what he tells me every time I see him. Just the
Yeah.
inkling in my eye, boy. Welcome everyone to Figured Not Included. I'm Mikey, along with Ed and David Poole, back from his.
With his readers.
He got Peter's peepers. You know he's locked
Finally he can
in.
see.
Well, he is well prepared for this. Thanks for joining, David. How you doing?
Doing good. Well, glad to be back.
Oh,
Oh, you're a
the
little
audio's
muffled. You
bad.
have to connect on microphone, my friend. So you
Fix
do
that
that.
audio.
I'm having problems.
Yeah, while you connect that, I am so excited for today's episode, as I am for every episode, but particularly today because we have a good
Tell
friend,
us
an
why,
amazing
Michael.
guest. Let me tell you, this guy, I met him. This was probably around episode 8, I believe, episode 9. But we were in communication. We talked, and man, we just hit it off. And what better person to call a friend? This guy is known. He was in Collider. He's a host of Force Center podcast. Has his own show called The Blathering. Had a book that he written about Star Wars. So excited to talk to him about that. He is the garlic to my bread, one only Mr. Ken Napzok. Hello.
Welcome.
Mikey, David, Ed, happy to be here. Yes, we met at the Last Jedi premiere in the VIP section. Mikey, let's just say how cool we are. We were in the VIP section.
I don't
How in
want
the
to
world
say
does
it. I don't
Mike
want to
Free
say it.
snacks.
Yeah, I don't
How
want to
does
put it
Mikey
out
get
there,
into
but
the VIP though?
I don't know how I got into it, but we were there. And
I had
yeah.
trouble getting in. I had to play the whole like, hey, do you know who my brother is kind of thing, and it was a push and pull.
Let's just. I was with Nathan Hamill. You know his dad, Mark, has a little something to do with it, and they wouldn't let Nathan and I in, and we had to sneak in. We did it,
Oh,
and
hi,
that's
Mark.
fate.
Fate destined for us to come together and for him to be on this show. Really appreciate you taking out the time to come on with us, Ken.
I'm happy to be here. Absolutely love hanging with you, whether it's pizza in Brooklyn or garlic toast in Studio City. Always a good time.
I was in LA not too long ago. Me and Ed went for WonderCon. I don't know if you've ever been to WonderCon before. Yeah. So we went this year, and man, I desperately wanted to go to the smokehouse. It was calling to me. It was beckoning. It was like the Jedi Temple calling my name. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll save that for another day when I go back to LA and visit you out there. So.
Please.
Definitely happen. But we're going to go into it right now. Let's just go off with some hot toy news for the week. We'll take a little different approach. We talked about Star Wars figures before and the different wants that we've had. We're just fresh off Andor, and Andor was one of the most, if not the most, single exciting events in the sequel
I remember
era.
you hadn't finished it last week, Mikey. Did you have to just do a
I did a big
ultra
cold
binge?
plunge. Oh yeah, well, not an ultra binge. I think I took my time. I watched like 2 episodes a day or something, and I finally got there. And then the week prior, I saw 8 and 9 at that Andor screening, and that's where I fell in love with Benjamin Bratt, one of the most handsome men on screen and off screen. I mean, I was lost in his eyes.
In his beautiful, beautiful eyes.
100%. So he can do no wrong in my eyes. Great event and just a great show, and just sort of absorbing everything that happened with Andor. How are we all feeling about it? I want to go to our guest, Ken. Where are you right now with the post Andor?
I'm in a great spot, and I absolutely loved it. And it's heavy stuff, right? But they did a great job of I think of ending with just enough hope that you could run into Rogue One, also a heavy movie, and then get to New Hope and smile as a Star Wars fan. No, I loved it. I love diving in. We dive in deep to the stuff on Force Center and the themes and everything, the acting, the writing, the performances. It's as advertised. I still love all of Star Wars. I'm a big fan of the pulp of Star Wars. I'm a big fan of when Star Wars gets a little silly, or as George would say, dare to be dopey. And Andor was a particular meal in the Star Wars buffet that was a little more intense and a little more direct in what it was trying to do. And I think it's a big tent for me in Star Wars, and this scratches a big itch for a lot of folks, and me included. So I had a lot of. It's hard to say fun with the series because it's so heavy,
Right.
especially the second
Yeah.
season. But I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it's hard to say fun, but it's a fulfilling feeling that it gives me. You know, I think it's a mix of all those things. It's fun, it's excitement, it's sorrow. It's just sort of the symphony of feelings that
Yeah.
I think it creates that I've not really felt with a Star Wars property. I mean, been a long time, as Obi-Wan would once say. David, how do you feel?
I just finished it this morning, so I finished it and went right into Rogue One like back to back,
Right.
and it was I think having the 3 episodes a week was really fun, but when you watch 6 or 7 episodes in 1 week, it was like Ken said, it's really heavy. So
Yeah.
I was having some emotional therapy going through watching all those episodes back to back.
That's because you're a big baby, David.
Yeah, that's true. But I think what a lot of people when that complain about Star Wars being for the kids and all that stuff, this gave you the exact opposite. But it gave enough of the story and stuff that everyone knows, and fleshed out all those stories, and it was really character driven. Which is you don't. There was no lightsabers, there was no Jedi, there was none of that stuff, and it was just pure story that really gave more depth to everything we've loved since we were kids, and then going right into Rogue. That's what Rogue One was too. It's just that little line of this is the spies that died to get us these plans. They put a whole
Right.
movie, and now you got 2 seasons of a show and a movie all from that one little that scene, pretty much. And to me, it was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, for sure. Residential Sith Lord Ed, how do you feel about Andor?
I had a pretty fun time. I took my time watching it. I was there when they debuted, so I was able to simmer and watch them slowly. I actually went back and watched before the season finale came out. I watched Rogue One, to get myself, you know, reacquainted with that story and see if there was anything tying the finale with the movie, and they did a really good job with that. And so even after I finished the finale, I went back right into Rogue One just to kind of feel that continuation of the
Right.
story. And I thought this about Rogue One when it came out, that it was such an amazing way to retcon something. I mean, if you're going to do that, this is the way to do it, where you actually are adding so much to the original source material without taking anything away or messing with it or changing it. Um, you you don't see that a lot. A lot of the times you see people try that kind of thing. There's always some sort of issue, or it doesn't make sense, or things just don't connect perfectly. And I've only seen it a couple of times that I can mention. I remember one of my favorite is in the Court of Owls story that Batman what was it, writer Scott Snyder
Yeah.
and Greg Pillow did. They were someone they were able to do that, and it just felt like it's a new story, but it felt like it was always there. We just weren't aware of it. And I think Andor did the same thing for Star Wars, where it's like there was this fantastic story that we didn't even know was there, and it didn't exist at the time, but they made it like it felt like it was always there. And we finally got to see that part of the movie that we for some reason hadn't seen before, and it just really brought back that kind of like fantastic element of just being wowed by how good writing can be and how good the direction of the show was. And so
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I really just kind of soaked in the whole Andor, and fantastic. I mean, I wish there was more shows of this caliber. But it was just all around really, really fun.
I mean, we were gonna have 5 seasons, and now it to 2, which is so disappointing. But Ken, do you think they were able to get the story they wanted to told within the 2 seasons, or do you feel like there's still some meat on the bone that's left there?
I think there's definitely some meat on the bone because this is a big bone. Giggity. I really
Love a good bone.
would love more from Tony Gilroy and his team, but I think they did such a good job of deciding early on, hey, we don't want to invest in 5 seasons because that's 20 years of our life or whatever. I get it. But
Yeah.
the year jumps were so smooth and good but also in your head, you're like, oh, but man, I'd love to see Mothma deal with the death of Tay Kolma and knowing that's really truly on her hands. I'd love to see a little bit more of Yavin and the discovery and the connection and more the infighting, the intrigue. I would take 6 episodes of a show
Yeah.
just called Star Wars Yavin, just to have them all arguing around a table. It would work for me. But they knew what they wanted to do.
Mhm.
And I think it shows in those blocks. They did a great job with the year jumps.
There's also something telling about having a show leaving you wanting more, right? And not in a way of like, it didn't tell this, it feels unfinished. It's just that it did such a good job of building up its world that you want to still play in that world for a longer
Totally.
time.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of room that we can look for more from Andor, but I think there's sometimes where you just have to be as a creator where you can just be like that's enough. We don't want to go so far that we end up messing it up. I mean, like, definitely there could have been a lot of really cool stories, and there's always like room for an animated series or something to get a little more backstory or something. But I just think they were able to dial it back enough where they gave us everything that made sense for the show without dragging it out too long.
Mhm.
And then also, the less you do, the less chances you have of messing up something that was so stellar. So, yeah, would it have been great to have more for sure? Obviously they did such a great job, but I think that what they gave us was just enough to really satisfy and really build upon Rogue One. And so, yeah, I really think they did a good job of handling that without, over extending it, because sometimes you've seen a lot of shows that you feel like, oh my gosh, what, yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, but then it just gets kind of bogged down, and you get kind of bored with like a lot of filler. And so, I'm always afraid when they do too much that we're gonna get stuff like that. So
Right.
at the end of the day, I thought it was just enough.
Yeah, I always get worried about shows that I'm a fan of that they just extend their stay for a little too long. I mean, I think it happened with Game of Thrones. It got to the point where for me it was like, all right, I'm kind of either over it or it's just like, where's the story going right now? And I would love more than just 2 seasons. There's still so much more to say and to show, because that show has a lot to say. And I was there for all of its messaging. It's like this Trojan horse of ideas in politics,
Yeah.
under the guise of a Star Wars show, which
That was one
I
of the
think
best parts, that it just really touched on a lot of modern themes, a lot of things that are happening in
yeah.
today. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And you can really see the writers, encompassing things they've experienced in the last few years into the show and making it feel much more relatable.
Yeah, it's just so culturally relevant, and I think that's always a sign of great writing. Either whenever you read a good book or if you watch a play, the way it resonates with the current day in politics, and that show was able to do that. Larry, are you sad that you won't get some of that sweet milk from Tony's teat?
Oh yeah, I mean, I could see I would eat up a bunch of Band of Brothers rebellion building, just the troopers going through their training, and then have them going out to their first battles, and just rip off Band of Brothers completely, but put it in the Star Wars universe. And
Mm.
same thing, no Jedi, no Force powers, just guys joining a rebellion and fighting against a bigger power. And
How yeah, yeah,
that'd be
that
stuff for me.
Yeah, I think that's such a good idea. I mean, the risk involved in something like that, right? To just kind of go with no Jedi, no lightsabers, no like real force until some point in the second season. Even then, it was so subtle and just like very casually put in. That's, I think, tastefully so. Ken, were you worried about going back to that world of Andor and being like, okay, we're gonna do it, we're gonna get rid of a lot of that stuff that Star Wars is sort of known for, the magic of it?
I think it worked for me, and I like the way they brought it in. It's always present. The themes of the Force are always present in Star Wars, and all Stars, as we know, is political. And some of the heaviest hitting political stuff is in Bad Batch, Solo, the end of Rise of Skywalker. For me, there's just some really strong political statements in those stories, but they got the trappings of all the things we grew up with, and so I think it was bold to do this. Rogue One has a little bit of that too, but you have more with Donnie Yen's character and Baze Malbus and everything. So I liked. I just was watching an interview with Tony Gilroy where he said it would have been. I think he said something like it would have been cheap or would have been wrong to not have it factor in, even though um, at this point in the galaxy, the Empire has done a great job of really clearing the decks of no one talks about that anymore. No one knows about it.
Yeah.
Even it's only 19 years, but it's like they have erased that. It's dangerous to talk about it.
Mhm.
and I think it's not just the mystical, it's the destiny thing. Destiny is what brings you to the next big choice, and Star Wars is about choices. And I thought it was just a nice touch, and I loved Bale saying, "May the Force be with you, Captain," at the end. Perfect choice for him because Bale came off a little grumpy in the series for me.
A little grumpy.
And I like it. But I just thought it was really warm. But yeah, I'm with David. Like, give me more the Hoth troops. Just give me 6 episodes of just the Hoth troops fighting in the trenches, or I could live in that world nicely.
I wonder if that was a conscious decision on Benjamin Bratt, the very handsome Benjamin Bratt. I don't know if we mentioned that before.
So smitten.
Yes, just I mean, I gotta get the guy's number at some point. He remembered me 10 years ago from an interview I did in Miami, so obviously there's a deep connection.
You made an impact.
Oh, dude.
The forceful,
As he always does, a very creepy,
these little creepy kind of weird. Yeah.
I got a question for Ken real quick because this is something that I was kind of thinking about, and like I'm pretty good at my Star Wars history and stuff like that, but I didn't really get an answer for this, and I didn't bother to really research it. But I figured, hey, this is a great place to bring it up. And I know maybe it had something to do with maybe my what do you call it? Timeline is off a little bit, but what happened with the Bothans? Did they just decide to move them out of the story? Was that just for Empire? Is that the second Death Star? And I'm getting it wrong.
That's the second. It's the second Death Star in Return of the Jedi. Carolyn Blankenston's Mothma is the one that says many Bothans died. In canon, they've yet to be identified. In Legends, it's like a species, or they kind of look like wolf horses. If someone out there might remember more directly than I would, but in canon, they've never been identified. They could be a unit, they could be a spy unit. Like, we don't quite know. And there's as you said so wonderfully earlier, Ed. There's so many stories out there that we just don't know yet. And when they're presented in a good way, it feels like they were always there. I love what you said about that.
Yeah.
We could get that with the Bothans one day. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's something I would definitely like.
That is correct.
I've seen a lot of people mention it, and I think a lot of people were kind of in my same boat where we're like, where does that fit in? And we just couldn't really remember. But yeah, that's a fantastic story. And I always think that that line was so important, but we've never seen anything from it. So I would love to get something that shows that. And hopefully that might be on the agenda for Star Wars in the future with the success of Andor.
Yeah. Where would you want to go? We have gone back and forth. We've gone so back in the past with Acolyte, and now we're with Andor leading up to Rogue One and to A New Hope. Where do we go from here? Do we go back? Do we find the middle area again? Do we go fast forward? I know they're doing the Starfighter movie with the Gauze. I'm not sure what that's going to be about, but let's see how much that ties into everything. Where would you like to see the franchise go now, post Andor?
In terms of like a show similar to this vibe?
You could go show, you could go an album, you can do whatever you want.
Man, I do want a Jizz Whalen album release. Mikey, I'm not just kissing your family's ass here. On Force Center this past week, I said I'd love like a 10-episode. Give me just one season. Doesn't have to be of post New Republic, post the fall of the Final Order, dealing with political themes like Reconstruction, post Civil War that we dealt with here, political intrigue, and those situations in our past, including post World War II, a lot of generals have their feet on the ground for that kind of stuff. And there's this general at the end of Rise of Skywalker named Poe, who I'd love to see having to deal and lead in a post-fall of a empire kind of situation as they rebuild, and all the problems and systems who are, we see it sometimes with separatists in the Republic post-Clone Wars, but there's wide open territory where the Final Order is defeated, peace is attained again, but you still have to rebuild. And I was talking about that in Force Center this week, so I'm not just saying it here. I've been saying it for a while. As far as eras, I'm looking forward to if Jim Mangold's film does get made, The Dawn of the Jedi. I'm not an Old Republic fan as much as other people are, or Knights of the Old Republic, but to actually finally explore that, I'd be up for that too.
I don't know. Part of me just finds the Jedi kind of boring. I just don't find them as an entertaining group to watch.
Ridiculous.
It's if they do a conclave sort of Jedi thing, who gets voted to the High Council, maybe that would have more interest to me. But I don't know.
You're just trying to sound interesting, Michael.
No, I mean, I'm just a little, with Ken there, where
No. Oh
like
my
the
god.
Old Republic stuff doesn't tickle my pickle, as one would say.
Ridiculous. I saw you
Yeah.
squirming when Yoda was jumping all over the place fighting Dooku.
With the
Yeah.
younger boy back.
You look like one of
I
those
felt
noodle
that.
creatures outside the car dealers just
Doing
flopping
that.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loved that stuff.
Not only
Yeah,
that,
but in retrospect, it's
In
like, yeah, I like
retrospect, I
Power
was like, "Oh,
Rangers.
I
I
gotta
like
be
Blue
cool."
Suit.
I don't like Jedi. Who doesn't
no,
like
but
I'm not.
remember
Stop
remember
it.
that the trailer Old Republic had where you had the yeah, Ed knows what I'm talking about. The CGI 2 or 3 minute trailer. They did a bunch of them, and then you just
Mhm.
had the Sith crash into the Jedi temple, and you have
Yes, I remember that.
a group of attack Sith lords and everything fighting against a bunch of Jedi for like 2 or 3 minutes. The animation was great. The battles were great. Everything.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
what
I
I've
always
been
said,
wanting.
"Why
I've been
aren't they
wanting
making the
something
movies
like
like
that
this?"
in movie form or some long form
But
Yeah.
the
since
problem with
that
that
came
is
out.
that it's a 2 to 3 minute action clip. How do you extend that for a whole series or for a movie
I mean, you're
about
not gonna do
Jedi
action
who are
all
not interesting characters?
well, that's the whole point. You have to write the characters. You have to write these I mean, even just visually, they were super interesting. Like the Jedi that was running around, he had like a cowboy hat on. He looked like a Western, cowboy, but he was a Jedi.
Yeah.
Super cool.
And
What's
that's
his story? Just that. You should have seen the Sith that comes out of the ship. These crazy, gnarly looking Sith with all these like, scars and weird faces and stuff. It's like these are fantastic looking characters that you could definitely write amazing stories for. So I think it's just about creativity and being able to expand on these things and then deliver these amazing, choreographed scenes of just action and adventure. But then, obviously you need good writing. Like take what you've done with like Andor and just phenomenal writing, and then use like amazing characters and then just be creative with the way you present them, and then just enhance it with these incredible action sequences. I mean, you could totally do it. It's
No.
not like
Or there's also the fact that there's a whole legends. There's thousands of pages of books that were written where they fleshed out many characters.
They don't count
But
anymore, Larry. Get over it.
no,
no.
I know, but it
Larry
just
loves his books.
I yeah, read them all twice. But the fact that they have all the source material that
Yeah.
proves that you can flesh out the characters, still have all the cool battles and all that stuff. I mean, it's easy to do, and it's been proven. With the sales of all those books went through the roof for most of them. They kind of did some of the stuff. They went kind of far fetched and stuff with the Yuzong Vong and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it still had a lot of cool, really good stuff. And I mean, I was reading hours at a time. There wasn't an action sequence every 2 minutes, but it built up to the cool lightsaber fun goofy stuff that we all love, and it had
Right.
you can mix everything together and you can get some
For
some
sure.
awesome stuff, I think. And Old Republic lends itself to that because it's not been really told before to a lot of the stories, and you could explore it all, have a fresh page. You're not uh have to worry about having the the Skywalkers bringing you down and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And then that's why the like Ken said about the with Poe and after the
Great idea.
the episode 9 is that it's all fresh. It's brand new. You have all the Star Wars lore to back it up, but you get to do what you want. So I think you either go ahead to after episode 9 or you go to Old Republic style stuff. I think that's the next place they should go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely want to push it forward. I think
Mhm.
we've spent a lot of time going back, which is great, and getting the whole build of, the Empire, the ISB, the rebellion, all the characters involved, to how that comes together is so exciting. It's stuff that you always think about. You're like, how does this work? How does this work? And I think it was just the building the foundation of that and seeing how all these characters play into the creation of the story is just so exciting and so brilliantly written, as you were
And
saying, Ed.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I think that that's the one thing though about not getting away just yet, because yeah, you can go 1,000 years in the future, start completely fresh, play in the sandbox, but none of the old pieces. But the thing is, I think there's still so many questions, so many stories that people are curious about. How we said the Bothans, I've like we're talking about what would you like to see more as I love what Ken said about showing the rebuilding of the galaxy after the First Order. But one of the questions for me was always like, after you defeated the Empire and it was so bad, how in the world did the First Order just easily take over and build so powerfully so quickly? So I want to see that story. I want, like, how did we go from the fall of the Empire and Jedi after all the atrocities we've seen, like, that they've done in Andor, and they were just let so quickly become the First Order and continue menacing and be able to build, this insane, planet, Death Star and all this. So there's a lot of cool and interesting and just questions that people have, that we would love answers to. So I think that's why it's hard to let go of these characters. Plus, a lot of these characters we just love. They're so much fun, and we've had so much
Yeah.
fun with them for our whole lives that we just kind of, it's hard to let go. So I don't know. And that's what I like about Star Wars too. Why not? We can tell a story kind of in the future and kind of separate ourselves from what we know. But it's still fun to go back and fill in some of these holes of stories that we're missing from, the main story that we've been exposed to our whole life. So I would like still some questions to be answered.
For sure, for sure. What are some big questions for you, Ken, that you needed to have answered? I know you're talking about the whole New Republic and everything. What else do you have on your mind?
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you too on like I've said in the past that we've got so much stories in that time frame, but I could live between episode 3 and 4, those 19 years. I could live in there for a very long time as a Star Wars fan because I think it's ripe for a lot of storytelling that's very resonant with the what's going on, not just in our world now, but just throughout history, right? That's
Yeah.
what Tony Gilroy said. He's like, Tony, like, we wrote these scripts 5 years ago. We're writing from history. The fact that the real world looks like this now, that's a history thing. That's the patterns repeat. But like you're saying with the rise of the First Order and all that kind of stuff, they touch on it in some, like Bloodlines, a great book and stuff like that, and Resistance Reborn, where I don't know, evil exists. People always want power, and a lot of people are stuck in the past and want to hold on to those things. So I don't have a specific answer. I do like exploring what happened. The Galactic Empire, that quick rise, from the ashes of the Republic is stunning, and it seems like fantasy until you look outside your window sometimes. So to explore that, but to just do it, I like also the blank slate kind of thing too. 1,000 years, 4,000 years in the past. It's always a struggle about power, what to do with it. I'm not going to say you're wrong, Mikey, about the Jedi, but it's a pretty central
Oh,
question to ask.
you can say it, Ken. It's
You
fine.
know, are they boring? Yeah, sure, I get you. I like the fighting. I like the troops on the ground, but it's a story of there's a great power in the universe, and what do you do with it? How do you use it? How do you best be a Jedi? You can explore that in the past, but
Yeah.
yeah, in terms of like what I was talking about post New Republic, it's just like it's fascinating to me. General Eisenhower, General Grant, all these people who were in these wars are part of the political movements after, and just analyzing that in a very Star Wars way would be fun too. So,
Yeah.
but
It,
also I could get 2 weeks, two movies on a gonk droid, and I'd probably be.
it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing. Like Daniel Day Lewis as a gonk droid
Mhm.
would just be incredible.
He's so method. He just spends 2 years gonking in his own house.
Just wears a garbage
Like,
can the whole time,
it'd be great. I would just
running
like
into
to see that
things.
process, an actor prepared.
He's,
Um,
he's got to.
it's yeah. I mean, look, I just think this like I've just been sullied by the Jedi. I feel like I turned Sith on them because just how
Wow.
they were represented in the prequels. I just thought they were a bunch of cowards and wimps and they looked like
Wow.
powerless against everything. And I just think the writing is so great and what Tony Gilroy was able to accomplish. How do you? I mean, it'd be different sensibilities, but just something of that caliber going back to like the old Republic. Yeah, I just I just hope it can have the same sort of energy and the same love and care and just overall talent and the intentions of everything. It's just so well done with Andor. Do you have any memorable scenes or lines from the show that stick with you?
There's a lot. I mean, for me, anything Leo Partagaz says, Anton Lesser, who's also from Game of Thrones, is Qyburn in Game of Thrones. Like his lines, even in a serious scene, calibrate your enthusiasm. Thesis, please, are timeless. But I even like one of my favorite lines. There's so many poignant lines in Nemec's speech, and even the Gorman massacre is horrible to watch, but also it's mesmerizing. I can't turn away the escape of Mothma from the Senate, but like. I also love those Star Wars lines, like when Admiratus, when they're talking about everything, and he goes, "Who's Clea?" That's like my favorite. I love stuff like that.
That's a good one. David, what about you?
Oh, I'm bad. I'm horrible at remembering specific lines, but there was a lot of good ones. I mean, of course, Mon Mothma's speech was very poignant, I
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
Mhm.
reading some news before I watched that episode, and it seemed like it was
Yeah.
written like a couple days ago. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they nailed it because that I mean they had a form of that speech in Rebels season 3:18, where which another thing, if you want some Jedi and some action and some stuff to go along with Andor, just watch Rebels. A lot of it
Mhm.
takes place almost the same exact time.
Hmm.
But yeah, her speech was really good.
Ned.
Man, I liked what Stellan Skarsgård. He was so good.
Arr,
Everything, like
arr.
when he would go into his speeches and stuff, everything he said was just so poignant and so intriguing. I enjoyed that a lot. I loved his interactions with Andor. I was like, there was such a struggle between the both of them, and
Yeah.
I loved. And what I really got me was when Andor defended him at the very end when he was with the
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 Bale.
senators and
Yep.
yeah at the end on Yavin, and they were all kind of like just kind of going after his character, and then he just kind of defended him, and like how he said, what is it, like none of you would be here if it wasn't for him. It was really well executed, and it just showed how important that character was, even though he was kind of a bad guy. And I liked that when he said, I think he says it himself. He said something, I was like, I'm like Larry. I forget the I remember the meaning and the feeling I got it, but I can't remember the lines exactly. But he
Hmm.
said something about like he became what they made him, and then he had to live that way with what he's done. And
Right.
so he knew he did a lot of like atrocious things, but he did it for a cause. And so all that was really kind of um really intriguing for me.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I never really got into the animated shows, so I need to go back and watch Clone Wars and Rebels, and I mean, after seeing Andor, I have a bigger interest in Star Wars than I had in a number of years. So that's a point for Andor for that. But
You got to dive in, man. I'm going to give you a homework assignment.
all right, please do, Ken. I listen to you. These guys, I don't know
Oh
about
yeah,
these guys. These
I've
guys
been
are
telling him for years. He doesn't care.
Just tell me what you guys want me to tell him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Star Wars.
please pass the butter, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. I'll talk to
Okay.
them. Can't relay the message, but I think for me, I was always so interested in the Saw Gerrera character, and just to kind of understand where he comes from, and just that monologue he has with Wilson or the Willen. I forget.
Wilman, yeah.
Wilmon.
Will,
Yeah,
there you
Wilmon.
go. There, Wilson, different movie. Um, uh,
Hold on. You love, I love Saw Gerrera too, because he's also kind of a bad guy who makes a lot of mistakes. But have you seen the Clone Wars arc from Onderon with him?
Nope.
He
nope.
is not.
With his sister, that's all based on Russia and the Mujahideen and Afghanistan, down to detailed.
I've not seen any Rebel or Clone Wars. So that's
So sad, Michael. It's
sad.
disappointing.
It's that I had to separate myself. I had to go into my own my own
Back to tank.
bantha, and just bantha tank and just sort of like chill out from Star Wars. So now I'm sort of finding the love and
I get
passion
it.
again, where it's like I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go watch those things.
I
So,
get it.
yeah,
No
but
shade. I get it.
you're shaming, but it's okay. So,
Shame.
with Saw, I think I just was so interested in that character. It was so just visually interesting, and just the way he spoke, and just what's this the breathing apparatus for, all those kind of things, and just like his whole attitude. And so that whole thing with Wilman, just when he talks about what a rebellion is, and like you think I'm crazy, revolution is not for the sane. Look at us, unloved, hunted, cannon fodder. All that stuff is just so powerful, and it was so exciting where he says, you're here and you're ready to fight. We're the fuel, we're the thing that explodes when there's too much friction in the air. It just like encapsulates what the rebellion is. And I think that just made it all come home for me. And so that was just so exciting. I mean, I remember getting goosebumps watching that thing. And it just that was
Probably
so
just the crabs, Michael.
not just the crabs. I asked my doctor about it, and he's like, "Nope, it's Saw." So it was Forrest Whitaker's delivery.
That was also me describing the garlic toast to you at Smokehouse. Breathe
It
it in,
was,
Michael.
dude.
Breathe it in. You are here. You're here.
You just hold that garlic bread up to my face. I go, just freaking out. Just breathe it in, baby. Literal wow.
You
That's
you just
so
pulled you
good.
just pulled off your what is it, the N17 masks?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But not freeze it all that
There
garlic,
you go.
sweet garlic butter, and well, I mean, these have created awesome memories already just in these two seasons. I wanted to ask you guys, since we are a figure toy podcast, if you weren't aware, what are some of your favorite Star Wars toy memories? If you can go first, Ken,
Just in life overall? Oh man.
in your sweet life.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a big fan of Y Wings. I'm Team Y Wing, right? I think they're the workhorse of the Rebel fleet. And that happened because I wasn't cool enough to get an X Wing or the Millennium Falcon. My parents bought me a Y Wing, not knowing it's just Star Wars. And I opened it on Christmas morning in December of 1983 and was like, hey, all right, this is me. This is my identity now for the next 40 years of my life as a Star Wars fan.
The Y-wing
Um,
pilot.
yeah, and then I had it all the way with me till about 6 years ago. Several moves. It moved with me to LA, and it finally on my last move in 2019. I had to toss it, and it was heartbreaking. And then one of
Oh,
my listeners from my Star Wars podcast, Force Center, found one in package. So I have it again in a box, a classic Y wing. So yeah, stuff like that because that's what
Shout out to that guy.
toys are, right? And Star Wars is so big in the toy world because of what they did in the 70s, which is why I sometimes take offense when people are like, so and so just their shows are just playing with their action figures. That's why we're all here. We became inspired by the stories on screen, and then we were able to take those stories and put them into our hands. And that's why I loved playing with my toys. That's why I would take my Star Wars figures to the beach and reenact Tatooine and tell new stories with the characters I love. It's
Yeah.
all pretty powerful stuff, and so those are all also my memories. And then at one point, I got a Black Series figure of that character Poe Dameron, and I was like, that ain't that guy's face.
oh no.
We've been saying that for the last 10 years. So
Oh yeah. It's
yeah, it's
scary.
been a travesty. I was at a New York Comic Con last year, and one of the designers from Black Series was there. He was showing off Skeleton Crew and some other stuff. Like, looks cool, man. I'm like, hey, so like, when are you gonna make an actual Poe Dameron figure that doesn't look like a mutant? He's like, we'll get on that.
Wait,
Sure.
one that doesn't look like a bus driver that's been smoking for 50 years.
I know. It's like if
Molting, like
Benicio
a
del Toro.
molten.
It was like if Benicio del Toro opened the Ark of the Covenant and Indiana Jones and his face started to melt off. That's what that figure reminded me of. I'm like, no, that's terrible.
Well, I reposted an interview I did with
Love it.
Oscar
Yeah.
10 years ago, and we kind of go through all the figures and we compare them to all the like.
I'll tell you what though, he looks great in Fortnite. I'm playing with the post skin right now in Fortnite. It's solid.
Never heard someone say I'm wearing the post skin.
I'm wearing the
Oh,
post
yeah,
skin.
that's quite the verbiage now, Michael.
I
Mikey,
know.
Mikey,
Where my
one
brother's skin?
they're
one
all
more
wearing
trip out
Poe.
here.
Everyone's
One more-
wearing Poe.
Usually, when
Well-
you hear that, you're like, you call the police, but this time it's actually it's like a badge of honor.
Mikey, one more trip out here, and I'm gonna be wearing your skin, my friend.
Oh, no.
Don't forget the lotion, Michael. Lots of lotion.
Show me the garlic bread, and you wear whatever you want. So, David, what about you? What's one of your favorite Star Wars toy memories?
Well, one of my favorite ones is the 2008, 2007. I can't remember where they re-released the Millennium Falcon and the huge Millennium Falcon. And at that time, I was
BFF.
dating my my soon-to-be wife, but that was the moment I knew she was my wife because she went, picked that up. It barely fit in a shopping cart. People were asking her, "Who are you? What your kids must really love you because you're buying that for your kids." And she had to tell, "No, this is for my boyfriend." And then, of course, the guys are like, "Oh, that you're a keeper. That he's gonna know you're the one." So, when I opened up that gift and I saw that, and then she told me the story about how she got
And
it
you
for me
got
and
down
everything.
on one knee right there.
Yeah, that was it. I was done.
And one knee, and you said,
I love Tesla.
Man, that's very romantic. Very
Yeah,
romantic.
she knew she had me. I was a very open book, so just buy me a big spaceship and I'll be your
Yours
husband.
forever.
Beautiful, beautiful story, David Poole. Ed, what about you? Do you have any love stories like that with Star Wars toys? Or
No, mine are more about hate and the dark side.
yeah,
It's true. This is actually one of my favorite stories. I love telling this story just because it was really, really fun. My uncle and I, we worked in the same company, and on the way to work there was a Target, and I went to work earlier than he did. So I would always go right before they open, wait outside Target for them to open up. And this was like when, Hasbro was just like flooding all the prequel stuff, and
Mhm.
we were getting like all the clone commanders and all these cool figures that were coming out. And I remember that we were waiting for them to drop, and we knew the day, that they were going to drop. Well, the week at least, and we knew they were coming. And I said, I'm going to go early and wait out there. I'm going to go in there and buy them. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Let me know if you find anything. So the next morning, I get up, I go, and I wait. The door, they had these big roller doors in front of Target, and they're
Yeah.
opened up like, it was like the Jabba's palace opening up. And I just ran in there. I went directly for the to the Star Wars section, and I looked around, and they had been there. And but like I think there was like a couple of them, like the ones that I'm super interested in, and I'm like, whoa, what happened? They hit this morning, but no one was here.
What?
How did they get bought out? This is crazy. So I called my uncle right away, and I was like, "Hey, I don't get what happened. I think one of the
No.
oh yeah, I think one of the employees must have taken them. There's no other because I just got here before anybody in the store."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, oh man, that's terrible. That really sucks." And so I was like, "All right." So I was like, I put my tail between my legs. I walked out, and as I was exiting the doors, it hit me like a cold shiver up my spine, and I said, "I've been betrayed." And I went up to the counter, and this was all like, in my mind, I'm like, I can't believe this, and I don't know how I figured it out, but I did. I went up to the counter, and I said, "Hi, I had some Star Wars toys put on hold for me this morning." And she says, "What's your name?" And I give him my uncle's name. And she's like, "Yeah, I have him right here for you." I was about
That was
to
my uncle.
say, he was so dirty and sneaky. I bought them all. I put them in the trunk of my car. I went to work. I played dumb the whole time. And he showed up all weird at lunchtime. He's like, "Hey, yeah, so I had a surprise. I was gonna buy you some Star Wars figures." I was like, "Really? Oh, it's so weird. What happened?" And he just gave me some like ridiculous story that made absolutely no sense. But he knew that I knew, and I knew that he knew that I knew, and
Yeah.
that I had gotten him. And but we never spoke about it. We never like
You
accused
never
anybody of anything.
unresolved.
And we knew what had happened.
That's
And
amazing.
oh my gosh, that was crazy. That was fun, and I felt good because I got one up on him. And yeah, yeah, I miss him. He was so much fun
Yeah.
to collect with. He was the big Star Wars guy in our family, and
Yeah.
we had a lot of Star Wars adventures. But that one always resonates in
A
my
lot of
memory.
misadventures with him for sure. Oh man, we called him the Nazgul.
Ah,
That's just his
beautiful.
style. But yeah, it was always fun stuff with him. For me, man, I got a lot of good Star Wars toy memories. I think I had a Christmas one year when I was living in West Palm Beach, and my family pushed me outside. They'd be like, "Oh, look, there's Santa Claus!" And seeing a blinking red light, like, "Oh, there he is!" And it was just like a electricity tower that would blink every 10 seconds. I'm like, "Oh, Santa, dude!" And I come back, and there's all these different toys. And I opened up my Millennium Falcon. I
Oh
opened up
yeah.
my Power of the Force figures. I think the year after, I got my Dash Rendar and Outrider, and that was my favorite thing. That's still to this day my favorite toy vehicle combo I've ever played with.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so that was, I think for me, that was it. But yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just so great. You can attach so many memories and so many just like poignant moments in our lives to, like, not just the movies but the figures too.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars is still strong. Wanted to ask you guys, since we're talking about memories and we can kind of go back and forth with the stuff that we love. And speaking of love, Why We Love Star Wars, great book from Ken. If you haven't checked it out, it's on Amazon right now. A lot of stuff gets some good reviews. This has high reviews, people. All right, so this is quality. So if you want a great book about Star Wars, and I wanted to ask you too, Ken. Like, you talk about the great moments that tell why we love Star Wars. How many of Andor are you going to add to the next book?
Yeah, if I ever do that, a lot, and have to recontextualize some because two of my favorite moments were the death of K2SO, which is about choice over programming, and learning that at the time Cassian Andor was a separatist, which was this or had come from a separatist family and had a distrust of the Force and Jedi and all those things that was kind of revealed in some of the supplemental material. So I wrote about those. So it's all kind of the same thing, but now we know more. Yeah, there's a ton of moments. I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to write a second volume of the book because I don't know if you heard this. It's hard to make money doing it, writing books. Things aren't good for creatives. But yeah, there's a lot because the book came out in 2019, before Episode 9, before Mandalorian, before all the shows in the streaming era. So there's a lot to write about. So I'll probably explore those one day. But there's a lot in Andor. Andor is such a poignant show, right? It packs an emotional punch, so there's a lot to discuss.
Yeah, 100%. And the fact that it did so in just 2 seasons, I think, speaks to the whole creative team that put so much effort into that show. But effort. Speaking of which, Why We Love Star Wars, great book that you efforted and put out there. Great moments that built a galaxy far, far away. Go check that one out, guys.
Pick it up, people. Pick it up.
Check it out. Be a good person. Do some good work in the world and check that out. I wanted to put my hands together because I have some ideas. I wanted to ask you guys, and we were talking about memories. I like the desert island thing. You pick your 5 albums, your 5 movies, your whatever, your 5 pair of underwear. What would be the things that you would keep, and you can only pick one? So we have desert island picks: 1 movie, 1 show, 1 figure, vehicle. It could be a combo. You could do 1 figure and 1 vehicle that's separate from each other, and 1 video game. So a lot of like we say, content. Star Wars works, So a lot to choose from. I don't know. I can go first to give you guys some extra time. If someone wants to go first, you can chime in now.
Me.
Oh, there you go. Okay, there's Ed. Ed. Let's blow you up here, and you can get.
Yeah, I'll go first. So movie, right, Michael? Movie.
Let's go movie. Yeah.
Like Star Wars movie. I would probably
No,
go with
Lord of the
Empire.
Rings. Yeah, Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back. Great movie. I love that movie. I could watch it all the time. I love just putting it on, having it on in the background sometimes when I'm doing stuff, just kind of reliving some of those exciting moments. Such a fun movie to go and analyze and go through. So, yeah, I'd probably go with that one. A show. Wow. I mean, I guess I'll go with Andor. Andor was so good. I mean, I could definitely watch all 2 seasons again and again and just kind of pick out all the little nuances and cool things that they did in that show and just kind of go over such stellar writing. What is the other one? Vehicle or toy?
You could do a figure and a vehicle.
A figure and a vehicle. Those are fun. I mean, I guess I could say, everyone likes flying around with their like vehicles and stuff, but like we talked about this before, and I think we mentioned what was the vehicle that you would love to see in 6-inch figure. It's probably the one I would take with myself is Anakin's modified Star Wars Jedi fighter from the micro series. That thing is just so cool with the big old engines in the front and everything. Little Anakin pilot in there. I would definitely take that with me. Just play there on the beach till I die. And then video game
in your One Piece.
In my One Piece, yep.
An old diver from the 40s.
I know. Just running around. And video game. Oh man, there's so many fun ones.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a hard one. I really had a fun time, and I haven't played a lot of the newer stuff, so I'll probably just go with one of the last ones I did play, which I never actually got to finish, but I really enjoyed the gameplay, was Force Unleashed. That was a really fun one. Running around using, I always like the fact that you could really, use force powers to like an extreme level, like more than you would see in the movies and stuff. So I always thought that was really fun to do, and just like blast stormtroopers like miles away and stuff like that. So that's my set right there. That's what I'll be doing on that island.
You got a great set, Ned. David, you want to chime in and give us your picks?
Yeah, sure. I would have to go. I mean, I don't know if this is not very controversial, but I'll take Empire Strikes Back also.
Bold choice.
That's the first Star Wars movie I ever saw, so it has that nostalgia factor. Plus, it's just damn good.
I could watch that opening Hoth battle over and over and over. I've seen that hundreds of times.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Empire Strikes Back would be my pick.
You don't get tired of it.
No, never.
No.
But now watching Rogue One again today, and I've seen that a bunch of times. Rogue One is up there. Not like Empire, but I can watch Rogue One a bunch of times. It's really good. Now with Andor behind it, all the fleshing out more of the stuff. Rogue One rose up the ranks.
Yeah.
For what was the next one?
Show. Your
Show.
favorite show.
I love Andor was really good, but the Mandalorian season 2, where you got that Luke Skywalker scene at the end, that and Mandalorian's not done. Season 3 kind of had a dip. It wasn't as good as it could have been, I thought. And we still haven't, with the movie completing the series and all that stuff, or whatever they're going to do with that. But the Mandalorian before Andor brought a lot of people back. Mandalorian season 1 brought a lot of people back and showed that Star Wars was still viable when they were talking about the issues it was having. So I would say Mandalorian. And then ship, we've talked about it before. I love the B-Wing. That's my ship. That design, how it is so different. It's so capable as a fighter. I love the B-Wing. That's my all-time favorite ship.
Mm-hmm.
And with a character or figure, I love Mace Windu in his Clone Wars armor. Mace Windu, Ed brought up the animated series. That animated series and how they had him, Jendy Tardosky, doing his designs and everything. And I think Mace Windu, I can't wait to hopefully maybe see more from him. Samuel L. Jackson keeps saying that he's alive, so maybe more.
Do we think he's alive? Is that?
Yeah, why not? All he had was his arm cut off, and he flew out a window.
We've seen worse. We've seen people.
Anakin and Obi-Wan
We've seen
jumped in
people get stabbed through the chest and survive. So
yeah,
a window, what is it? 100-foot drop? They'll be fine.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Maybe he landed in Bail Organa's speeder when he was flying across Coruscant.
Yeah. He catches a lot of Jedi, so why not?
Exactly.
And then what was the last thing? Oh, video game. KOTOR. KOTOR was awesome.
KOTOR.
It was an awesome RPG on its own, and then with Revan and the storyline and all the stuff that goes along with it with Star Wars. Yeah, I would take it. Not the Old Republic. That would be my video game.
Great choice. Great choice.
Go for Papa Palpatine.
Ken?
Here's all right. So movie show. I'm gonna cheat a little bit on the figure vehicles and see if it stands for you. Movie. All great choices. Empire's spectacular. Return of the Jedi is the first one I technically saw in the theater, so I love living with that. But if I got to be on the desert island, I got to experience Star Wars over and over again. This isn't perhaps a popular answer, but for me, it's Solo: A Star Wars Story. It is one of my favorite Star Wars films. It is one of my favorite characters. It's not just a simple origin story. It's an exploration of the oppression of the galaxy and how it trickles down to the feet, the levels, the people who are actually being oppressed, and it's about the power of resources and just the struggle to survive. It is a movie that is a reflection on survival and your different view of survival. Do you win? Do you think you're going to win like Han? Do you think you're just playing to the next day like Kira? There's a lot of that stuff, and it just dips and moves. To me, if George was still in charge, he that would have been similar to some of the things he put out. I also think George would have been exceedingly weird and to a level where people will be like, that was okay. The micro level stuff he was talking about with the wills and everything. Yeah. I think George would have done a lot of different things. So I love that film. And I love the characters and I love that. My show is The Bad Batch. It's animated, Mike, so you probably don't know it exists. 3 seasons of when it was first announced, I was like, I don't know if we need this. I love the Clone Wars series, but it was a continuation of that. It was these, this team of super clones going around the galaxy, and I was like, I don't know, Space A-Team. We'll see. It is absolutely it's my favorite series. It has got all the pulp and fun that I love of Star Wars. It's got the pew pew pew, but beyond that, it is overtly political. In a way that might surprise some people. The episode from season, was it 2, Solitary Clone, around the character Crosshair, is my single favorite Star Wars episode of any program. It's a haunting, wonderful, powerful, poignant episode. Love that, and it's got found family, all kind of the big Star Wars themes that show up everywhere. I could just live in that show for a long while. So those
Mhm.
are those answers. Then I'm going to cheat a little bit on figures and vehicles. Okay,
We
I don't.
do.
Let me see if this fits because I got my Kenner answers. I got that. I got 2 Kenner things I'll share here. But I've been blessed with a life-size Wicket from a company called Tree of Endor that I don't even know if it's around anymore. Um, they gifted it to me because I was on Collider Jedi Council and I loved the show and I ran into him at a convention. He was like, "I'm going to give you one." I was like, "Okay, I can't pay for it because I'm broke." And he sent it to me. Um, it is a life-size Wicket. So I used to put it in windows and people do the stare. So I need my buddy Wicket with me everywhere. And vehicles, the Y Wing, I could be happy with the Y Wing. I love the Infus Nest Black Series Infus Nest, her speeder with Infus Nest on it, one of my favorite characters. But I'm a big fan of Lego, and I have the Lego Death Star still in box. Um,
Whoa.
I'm just
Nice.
waiting for the space to build it, or maybe sell it for cash money. We'll see. Taking offers.
There's no one here that buys stuff, so we trust.
Yeah, it's priced to go, but I just that would be a fun set. If I'm on a desert island and I got to keep myself from going crazy, let's build a Death Star Lego.
Yeah.
Um, and the final
Smart.
one, so many video game choices. Force Unleashed, all the stuff. KOTOR, I didn't really play, but I know friends that live and die by that game, so all that's good. I would go to the 2017 Battlefront 2 release.
Ooh.
The classic Battlefront games I love. I like the 2015 Battlefront re-release. It's got a 2-player mode I really love, but I actually love the story mode in Battlefront. I love the character of Iden Versio. It's got one of the best Luke Skywalker scenes when he's getting the compass to Pilio, but it's got a great conversation about Jedi and Sith and dark side and all these kind of things. And then I just like, even though it can get a little repetitive, I agree with the criticism of Battlefront sometimes. Like it's just like you're over and over and over and you die 19 times and I don't know, but I love exploring. I love going into Jabba's palace and fighting. I love going to Crate. I love going to all these places and just kind of take it in the world. So I would build Lego, play that video game until my brain falls out, and watch those shows.
That's a great list. I deserve that was well put together, sir. Mine.
Wait,
would
Michael.
be-
Wait, Michael.
What?
I'm gonna say your list and tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess what I think you would
Okay,
pick.
why
Ready?
don't you write it down? Why don't you write it down, and
Oh,
then
no. I'm gonna go, and you're just gonna tell me if it's a yay or a nay. Because I'm pretty sure I know you very well. I think you're gonna watch your movie is probably gonna be the Ewok Adventure Caravan of Courage.
of course.
Great choice.
That's
Great choice.
like fantastic movie. Your show will probably be the Droids cartoon.
Yeah,
I mean, that was so good.
the Jedi Adventure one. You know,
Your vehicle is going to be the Attack of the Clones Count Dooku on speeder, which is like the funniest Count Dooku figure ever made. And the video game you'll play all day long is Masters of Terras Kasi.
oh yeah, that beautiful
The
fighting
worst
game.
fighting game
The
ever.
worst game, not even the worst Star Wars game, maybe the worst game of all time.
That's what you're stuck with on the island.
What? Oh, no. I mean, you're not too far off.
Right? I figured that would be your choice.
Those are all my runner-ups, actually. So it was a really hard choice to pick between those. But my real list, okay, because I'm not a scumbag like that.
What a
is-
little fantastic choices. Uh-oh, I think we lost Michael.
Oh, no.
You scared him off.
We scared him off. The list was too true,
Yeah.
and he wasn't able to deal with
Yeah.
it. He didn't want his secrets out.
you nailed it. And those are great choices. Droids was
They
just
were great. I mean, they were all fun. There was nothing wrong with any of that stuff. I think
Yeah.
he'd have a good time on that island, really enjoying himself.
Mhm.
A lot of good stuff. They're getting
There he
frustrated.
There he goes. You've scared. Now he actually quit the internet.
I think he quit life.
Mike,
Now I'm a little worried.
He's run away. He's run away. He'll be
We
back.
might need to call 911.
Yeah.
Larry, call his wife. Make sure he's alive. Wait. Yep.
He's
Oh no, he has just texted. His internet has gone out.
Oh,
Well, I guess the
All right.
show must go on. What are we gonna do?
you
Oh, Michael, this was New York. You can't rely on anything over there. Tariffs. Where were we at? Video games.
I mean, he had his list, right? Or no, he didn't finish it. Oh, we don't know. Oh, that'll be
Yeah,
the
we don't know what
mystery.
his list is.
We don't know. That's the
We're
mystery.
speculating. I guess my list will have to do for him.
Yeah, you nailed it. So that's
I
why.
did.
That's
We
why.
did.
That's why. That's why.
Well, I
That's
guess
why.
we'll just kind of talk a little bit more about what we had
Yep.
on the agenda. And we have been talking a lot about on the show in the last few weeks is just the impact on tariffs. You know, it's just
Mhm.
been a kind of a nightmare for a lot of companies and toys and things of that
Yeah.
sort. So
Mhm.
it's really hard to know what the future is going to look like right now for collectors, you know, especially like Hasbro taking down all their pre-orders and stuff like that from Hasbro Pulse. And so we don't know how long it's going to be till we start seeing new product and how that's
Mhm.
going to work out. Ken, you say you're not a huge collector of toys, or you're more Lego. Tell us about a little bit of your toys.
Yeah, anymore. I have a large collection, especially the last 10 years. And the classic Kenner Star Wars I sold at an infamous garage sale for $2 in a lunchbox to get a skateboard, and my parents let me do it.
Oh wow.
That's a regret I have. But no, I am a collector, but not as active. But I'm surrounded by collector friends as well, including Mike and now all of you. So it's been interesting to track, and interesting is a kind way to say it's just chaotic. And
Yeah.
you know, with the reversal, and this week it's 145, then it's 30% tariffs, and this that. It just to see the industry affected, which was already, you know, you all would know more than me, but it's not the golden age of collecting anymore, and kids aren't buying as many toys maybe as used to. It's more digital, so it's to already see it kind of changing and affected by this has been frustrating for a lot of collectors.
Yeah, you definitely have seen a lot of change, and we've talked about it too. I think a lot of collectors are also just kind of, and I see this a lot at my shop, that we move towards a lot of more vintage stuff. You know, we're
Mm,
like, well, if I can't buy newer things, maybe I'll go back and find some of the things I had as a kid, or maybe I'll
mhm,
find, you know, things I missed out and I didn't pick up when I had the chance, and you know, maybe I'll look for that kind of
mhm,
thing. And I think a lot of collectors are maybe heading in that direction right now, is like kind of the uncertainty of like newer product coming in or paying those higher prices if it does come in. So you
mhm,
know, it's difficult to really kind of gauge what it's gonna look like and how long this is gonna
mhm,
last. I mean, we've seen a little bit of a relief with
mhm,
the tariffs coming down, you know, to what is it, 30% now? But I mean, it's still a lot. 30% to add on top of already kind of expensive
well,
toy prices. You definitely see
mhm,
um, you know, a strain on the toy community with that kind of thing.
mhm.
Michael, do we have you back?
Speaking of strain, sorry, Ken, you have to deal with these rascals
Oh,
trying to sully my good name with
Oh, no, we
these
were just happy you were
choices.
gone. We needed a break.
I had to run away and vomit because
you had a good name to begin with. Wow.
I think I did at one point, but it's been tarnished now beyond repair. So
I think that's just you, Michael.
all right. Well, before I was so rudely interrupted,
Mhm.
I didn't get to my choices. I'll run by them really quick. A New Hope,
Yeah.
it's a classic. It's my favorite. It's the one I
Mm.
always watch the most. So let's go with that one. Can't get old. For a show, Tartakovsky's Clone Wars.
Mm.
I love that one. It's my absolute favorite, Andor second, but Tartakovsky's Clone Wars is just fantastic. I love that thing. I can watch that over and over and over again. Figure vehicle, I already said it once. I'll say it again. I'll say it 3 times. Dash Rendar and the Outrider. Give me that in 6-inch scale. Give me a HasLab 3 3/4. I will buy multiple. Please do that. I mean, and then I'll also put a shout out for the Hot Toys Podamra, which hasn't come out yet, but you know I'm gonna get that thing, baby. And
Mhm.
then for video game, I was thinking Battlefront 2, but I was thinking the OG
Yeah,
version,
it's great. That one's a great one.
which was my favorite. That's the one I played the most, and it's the one that still sticks with me. And I think runner up would be Rogue Squadron 2.
Mm.
Uh, that is, I mean, just how they I just like reintroduced the old movies and how you can just replay those iconic scenes, and they did them so authentically, and it was so fun. For me, it's Battlefront 2, but then runner up is Rogue Squadron, Rogue Leader.
Yeah, Rogue Runner is fantastic. I still have my GameCube copy.
Oh,
Those are
wow.
my real choices. All right, so
Ed was close. It was
it
close.
was pretty close. It
Not
was
too
really
far
close,
off.
actually. It was.
So, since you left
Yeah.
us, we kind of went on and started talking about the tariffs. Michael, why don't you give us your thoughts on where we are right now?
De Esok. Tariffs is a blow, but that's what we have to deal with. Yeah, we just mentioned off air before I was rudely interrupted again that Diamond Select, they are now defunct. They have been closed down by Ad Populum, so no more Diamond Select toys.
Oh,
Wow.
And that is a super big bummer because they make such cool things, but that sort of thing, think they consolidated and their whole staff was fired. And now they are just under that umbrella with NECA as well. And it's just sort of a sign of things to come. There's not many companies that are going to be able to survive. Like you said,
And do you
the
think this that
140.
do you think that decision was taken because of these tariffs and the difficulty in the toy market? So they said, "Hey, why not? Well, let's not even worry about the toy section of this company and just get rid of it."
I don't think it's as callous as that. I think it's just overall we're in unprecedented times right now when it comes to these kind of things.
mhm,
And so when you're dealing with, the uncertainty of the business and how long that's going to be, because 90 days is like, what are you going to do with 90 days?
mm,
If
mm,
you're a giant company, you have all these different employees and you're trying to maintain your business. I don't imagine a lot of these companies have wide margins when it comes to their profits. It's Super Seven, Diamond
mhm,
Select, all these different things, the different companies. So I just don't imagine, and this is just kind of running down everything. So, just shut down following Ad Populum's acquisition of Diamond Comic Distributor. And we talked about this last week that this was the acquisition that happened, and just that all Diamond Select toy staff were laid off. I mean, a lot of people involved in that. So,
Oh, that's terrible.
yeah,
mm.
super terrible.
And
And
it's just crazy because they've been around for so long. I remember going and looking through the magazine at the comic book shop and looking through all like the
Right.
Diamond Select stuff and seeing all their toys and things like that. So wow, it's that's I think a sad blow to the collector community to see such a big company that's been around for so long just kind of go belly up.
yeah,
Mm.
that's just sort of the present that we're in right now. Who knows for an uncertain future? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, you know,
Everything's computer.
that's how the world is now. So, um, it's just,
Welcome to your doom.
what they're saying now, the toy company. So that's just unfortunate. It really is.
Mhm,
But what's
mm.
fortunate is having Ken on our show. And we have one more segment we like to do with Ken. It's one of our favorite segments. My favorite segment by far. It is the yellow. Ken, we have this segment where we go back in time and we look at vintage toys. And there's something you found from the depths of your storage bins. What did you pull out for us on the yellowing this week?
Yeah, two of my favorite all-time Kenner ones here. It's the Emperor's Royal Guard is still to this day just one of the, do I want to play for their team? No. But do I want to dress like them at parties? Maybe. I've just always loved this figure, just that bold, bright power red. And of course, you always wanted to look under and see their jumpers, like what is going on under there. I
I
love
always
this
thought they were
one.
just like nude under there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a robe's for, right?
What? That's what I always thought.
What? So there's that one. I love that one. And then this one, I will say, it's not from my original collection because I sold them at that garage sale I was talking about. But this is key to my stand-up career as well as Star Wars. So it's Nine Nom, the best co-pilot in the galaxy. But I for years had a stand-up bit about. Let's just say what Nine Num's face kind of looked like and how that affected some of my relationships and experiences. And so that's all I'll say here on this show, unless Mikey blushes. But so I have a Nine Num to
Yourself off
remind
the
me
camera.
of both my love of the character Star Wars and my stand-up career.
I love it. I love it.
Fantastic. Oh, those are great, man. The Kenner stuff is always so good. I need to go see you. When are you back in town? When are you gonna come to New York and yuck
Uh,
it up?
yeah, we were always at the New York Comedy Club up on Fourth Street. Yeah, I have to talk to Mark Ellis. Yeah, we'll get on out there, man. Flying on planes is a little bit of a. Speaking of toy collecting going bottom up, maybe I'll drive out there. But yeah, no, we'll be there soon.
Oh yeah, yeah. So maybe you just do a cross country road trip then.
Yep,
Probably the safer
yep.
option. So, do you guys have anything for yellowing? I'm out of everything.
No, I got nothing to follow that epicness. So
I think that was pretty much all we needed this week.
That's all we need this week. But for this week, a new fix smell.
Love that new figure smell.
You guys can finish this line for me. She sells seashells by the.
I don't know the question.
Can you just finish the line? She sells
Seashore.
seashells by the.
Seashore.
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 Yeah,
Seashore. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, there it is, right there. I know Larry showed him off. I just got him, so he knew for me. Damn it! So I just wanted to show
Old
him
news,
off.
Mikey. Put that away.
It's old news.
New
Sort
for
of old
me.
news too. It is.
Oh, nice.
You know, we talked about Mandalorian a little bit. So the
That's
Luke,
great.
super iconic. This is the Mofex one. He brings all sort of doodads, lightsaber effects, hands, 3 hilts, and the cloak as well. I don't know if you ever got into the import stuff, Ken, but if you ever do, you go with Mafex. They do
Okay.
quality stuff. A little bit
They
more
do really
pricey, but
No.
yeah.
I'll just reach into your closet when I'm visiting you next and pull out what I want.
Smart
you can
move.
reach into any hole you want when you come
Oh.
to me. So.
Breathe it in,
I have
Mikey.
toy closets. I have a lot of storage bins, guys. Chill out, relax. Unbelievable. People have no decorum, no
So
self-respect.
immature, Michael.
Any lasting parting thoughts for our dear friend Ken Napzok, guys? Before he
Just
goes
thank
to
you so
town on
much.
some
I
tacos?
really appreciate him coming on here and speaking with us and sharing his Star Wars knowledge. I'm definitely excited. I will be picking up his book and reading through that because that just seems like right up my alley, something I would enjoy reading. And, hopefully he'll be on again soon and we can discuss some of that and some other excellent Star Wars, news that comes out hopefully in the near future. Thanks, Ken.
Hey, thanks for having me. I love it, Mike Abis, seeing your beautiful face in person, and we'll hopefully do it again. It's a lot of fun.
We'd love to do that too. Thank you, Ken. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining us here on Figured Not Included. Y'all have a great day. Like and subscribe. And follow Ken too, wherever I'm pointing. He's that way. So
Follow him.
follow him, give him your love and support.
Hey,
And
Mikey, is it possible to give Ken all these like cool toys and stuff you have behind you?
I would love nothing more than to give Ken all these great figures that we've shown today, but fortunately, Ken, figures not included. Sorry about that.
I accept it.